Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Speaking Out. I'm Tristan Lacey. The purpose of this show is to educate you on different cultures and expressions and to be inclusive and connected to our community. Today, we will focus on campus diversity and inclusion. First off, I want to start by wishing all of my viewers and those around the world a happy National Women's History Month. In honor of all of those strong women in the world, I wanted to bring a special guest today to host this episode with me. She hails all the way from Chicago and is a mass communications junior here at MSU. Let's welcome Latoya Fondra.
Thank you for having me today.
Of course. I love having you here. So I placed a Twitter poll on my page prior to the show, and it got about 200 votes. And of course, I want to thank everyone who participated in the retweets and also those who voted. Now, I asked the student body if they felt MSU was diverse, inclusive, or both. Now, 42% voted both for diversity and inclusive, 40% voted diverse, and 18 voted inclusive. Now, Latoya, what do you think about those results?
Well, I think that it's very important that our students are engaged in polls, such as the one that you presented, because it's important that they voice their opinion on issues and topics that we have on our campus. So I think it was a really great turnout in terms of the opinions of our fellow peers, and I think that from there, this can help with the progression of our campus being inclusive as a whole.
Now, I'm a senior, you're a junior, so we've been in college for a minute, so we've got a chance to really experience the social life and the academia that goes with, going to different classes, even those that aren't even in our major. We even get to basically experience college with different people who probably don't even share the same views as us. So I guess my issue sometimes that comes around is that when we get to the point where we are now, where it seems like inclusiveness is an issue, where some people feel excluded, where their beliefs and their thoughts can't be accepted, like, I just feel like that's just not the reason why we're here, especially at MSU. This is a liberal arts college. You come here with different ideas. You want to hear different people's ideas. Like, what do you think?
I think that it is important that we come together as a student body because we do all come from different cultural backgrounds. And in order for our institution to grow, we must be willing to work together despite our differences. So I think that inclusiveness is important. In terms of a higher education, it is important that students of all grade levels come together, whether a student is a freshman or getting ready to graduate in their senior year. I think that the importance of it is that in order for us to communicate and be as one as human beings, we must be willing to respect each other's opinions, ideas, and come together as one so that we can move forward and transition in this life.
Right. And especially when it comes to our campus, because diversity and inclusion is a subject that gets tossed around a lot lately. Some even go deeper to say that there's a lack of inclusion here on our campus. But do people really even know the definition of the words? Do they even know that there is a difference? Because diversity is the difference between basically people or individuals basically who's based on ethnicity, race, gender, sexuality, or anything else like that. Whereas inclusion is the actual act of feeling included.
I definitely agree.
And honestly, MSU has a large mix of students here from different parts of the world, from different genders, race, culture, background, etc. But the question includes, how do people feel about diversity? How do people feel about their inclusion? And this is something that gets tossed around from just a general conversation like what we're having right here to even a formal discussion like a forum we had a couple days ago. So we as people often get the two confused or think that they're the same, but they're not. So let's figure out and let's find out how the students felt, because I actually went out on campus and I talked to a few students and I asked them one question. Do you feel like MSU is diverse or inclusive? Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm here in the CSC. This is where all the students come to meet up to eat, hang out, study, or do whatever they have to do, honestly, just to prep for their next course. But I'm going to speak to a couple students today to ask them one question. Is MSU diverse or inclusive? Stay tuned.
I feel like MSU really is a very diverse campus.
I agree. I also think it's very diverse.
I feel like for the climate of our campus, like student-wise, yes, we are diverse, but I do feel like MSU needs to do a lot more work with being inclusive.
I believe Midwestern State is diverse.
I think it's diverse.
I feel like MSU is a pretty diverse campus.
I feel like MSU is diverse. We have a lot of students from everywhere that come here, and we do have a lot of inclusive organizations such as Pride, which is mine. We're having a drag show, as you can see. But I don't feel like they are inclusive enough to everyone.
I feel like it's diverse.
It's diverse, but it has problems with inclusiveness.
I feel like MSU is diverse.
I think that we're more so diverse than inclusive.
I think MSU is diverse. That's it.
We can see that diversity is very well established here on our campus, and the undergraduate demographic shows that very well. You know, the student body here at MSU is very, very diverse. We all come from different parts of the world, but, you know, what about inclusion? You know, how do people feel about that? You know, well, according to my poll that, you know, we posted out of that 42, basically I converted, did the math, and about 85 students see MSU as both inclusive and diverse. Now, it may be a miscommunication, or it may be that students didn't even understand that there was a difference between the two, but we're gonna actually ask a questions today, because we have someone in the studio with us today who may be able to help shine some light on the subject. So, we're gonna welcome Miss Morgan St Clair to Speakin Out. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's good to be here.
Oh man, it's great to have you. Great to have you. And so, you got any questions for her?
Oh, yes. Morgan, so the name of your organization is Pride, which is an acronym. Can you explain what it stands for and what the purpose of the organization is for?
Yes, of course. Pride stands for People Respecting Identity Diversity for Everyone. And the goal that the organization has is really to create a safe space and a safe environment for students of all different backgrounds to come together and either meet people who have similar experiences or backgrounds, or just to meet people who are, you know, wanting to have the same kind of environment.
For those who see a lack of inclusion on our campus, what could students and student leaders do to be more inclusive?
Well, there's a couple of things that the one could be to be open-minded and listen to others' opinions and or beliefs, and place evidence and facts on peer-reviewed research, which is something, at least in the sociology department, we're all pretty adamant on doing, and I think it would be beneficial for other students to do the same. We also want to hold others accountable for their words and actions, so if we know someone that has said something pretty offensive, we'd want to let them know instead of just ignoring it, kind of. And we also want to make sure that our friend groups are not made up of all of the same kinds of people. So you shouldn't have an entire friend group base that looks exactly like you, acts exactly like you, and comes where you're from.
Right. Now, in your opinion, do you feel that the administration could do more to provide an inclusive atmosphere here at MSU?
There's always room for improvement. To, I guess, better clarify on that, we want to make sure that our leadership matches our student body. And we want to see that we have more counselors and mental health advocates on the campus, because if we don't have them here in place for our students and our mental health is declining, then we can't really participate in inclusive, I guess, organizations or groups just in general.
Right. And we need those places, we need those avenues to explore basically, you know, how students may feel, because like you said, you know, those teachers, those administrators, those leaders, that some students who may feel shy about, they have that safe place that they can go to.
Yes.
I completely understand. Now, we're going to step away from the diversity and the inclusion a little bit. It's kind of still tied in, but we're going to talk about basically what's going on at MSU right now. You know, the sexual assault is very, very popular right now, and not in the best way, obviously. You know, it's something that's going on, and students are really speaking up about how they feel about the situation, how things are going, how the administration is handling it, how fellow students are handling it. So in your personal opinion, how do you feel about the situation, and how do you feel we should, as a community, we as a campus, we should make steps as far as to improve or to basically better the situation?
Well, I certainly feel that this issue is beyond me. It is not something that just affects one or two students. This has an effect on the majority of this campus. And, you know, if students don't feel safe and respected, they're really not going to have a fundamentally inclusive environment. If we don't have our voices heard from our administration and our faculty, then it leads to, I would say, more of just one underlying issue. It can't be solved with just one step. We need multiple steps, multiple actions in place. We need our administration that actually listens to us instead of just having maybe one or two that do. We want everyone to know. It's an issue that doesn't just reflect one step to go forward. We need more.
And your organization, as far as Pride, is there anything that your organization can do for the community right now that may be experiencing not only exclusion or problems with diversity and inclusion, but those who are affected by the sexual assaults and things like that?
Yes, oh definitely. Our organization, I mean, it is, you know, we respect identity diversity. We create safe spaces for one another. We actually, quite a few of us are going through the same issue in our own organization, and so we've made it to where if any of us need help, then we direct them to the places that would be able to help them best, obviously, because we're not trained counselors. But we're always here to listen. We always want to make sure that it's never the victim's fault, ever the victim's fault.
Right.
And so we want to make sure to listen to them and let their voices be heard.
Right. And Latoya, you know, this is an issue that, I mean, is most common in young women, especially here in college. You know, they're away from home and things like that. Is there anything that you feel like people could do better or anything like that? Or any questions to piggyback off of what Morgan said?
Well, one other question that I do have for you, Morgan, you did mention that there are multiple steps that can be taken in terms of the positive progression of the issues at hand on our campus. What do you think could be the starting point or the first primary step that administrators can take to possibly gain the trust back from our student body?
Well, there are a couple of things, and I'm not entirely sure which place to particularly start as the first step because we need multiple things to be the first step. However, I think getting administration that don't have 15,000 different things to do and get an actual administrator on our campus, more than one, who can be able to focus on things like sexual assault cases. This isn't a diss to any faculty in particular because I know how busy that they can be, but I think for me personally, one of the biggest things I want to see is administration on this campus. I want this campus to have the funds, to have the administration who can handle these specific situations and these Title IX, for example, and telling us who all of the CPAs on campus are, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's important that students are aware of administrators that are in those positions because I believe that before the forum, a lot of the students in our student body, a great percentage of them weren't aware who was in charge of what.
I wasn't. After that forum, that was an extremely informative forum. However, it didn't, actually do anything other than just say, oh, we have this. And so I want everyone to know, because considering we only had 150 people show up to that, not all of them were students. And so if I can get that kind of information from something like that, and I think every student should have that ability.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left. And of course, we want to thank Ms. Morgan St Clair for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
You were great. We loved you. We loved having you here. And I want to wish you good luck for you and Pride for the rest of this year.
Thank you.
And of course, I want to thank Ms. Latoya for coming in as well to help me host the show. We certainly enjoyed you here. And of course, I want to thank everyone for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at TreyTheMusician, TreTheMusician. MUSCIAN. Some people misspell it, so I just want to make sure y'all got it. So we can get the updates about the next episode. So for Speaking Out, I'm Tristan Lacey.